A while back, I threw something just on my phone a while back. If you can find it on, might still be my Facebook. Still a lot of disappointment about the U.S. getting literally embarrassed in the Women's World Cup. Just recently reported the head coach stepped out. I'm doing this on the fly. Doing this on the Willis. Vlatko Andonovski was the coach. A lot of people questioned his tactics, but he stepped down. So a little bit more of a, I don't know necessarily if it's a turmoil thing or not. I have no idea. But his tactics were questionable. Not a lot of people trusted him. They loved the last coach from the last couple World Cups that got the U.S. their success. But I was never really a fan of him to begin with. But the old stories, it is what it is. And I don't necessarily know what to say. This is the biggest This is pretty much the biggest form of, I don't want to say karma, I don't want to say life experience, but it's not a rock bottom because we know the U.S. is still going to be good down the road. But in a matter of speaking, it's starting to just slowly starting on the small decline for the U.S. Let me retrace a couple things just so people understand, and that maybe there's a few people I know who question my take about this. Number one, they are in a rebuild. Did you remember what I said? They started 6 rookies. Number two, they still thought they could win with the legends that they had, the Alex Morgans, the Megan Rapinos, the Julie Ertz. They all thought they could still be superstars. And from what I saw, none of them had a good World Cup at all. Alex Morgan had an awful World Cup. It was the worst of her career. At the end of the day, you can all jump on how they were embarrassed by Sweden in penalty kicks. Remember, that game where they lost to Sweden was the best game they played in the entire 4 games they played. The best game they played. And they lost in penalty kicks. I hate them. Always have. I always will. But that's FIFA. That's the way the life goes. And as far as the sport of soccer, you play 90 minutes, no winner. You play 2 15-minute halves. No winner, you go to penalty kicks. Nobody wants to be there for 5. No one wants to be at a game until 5 in the morning until someone hits a golden goal. I love golden goal. I'd rather they do that in the 2 15-minute halves. I'd rather they do that. But the penalty kicks do draw the drama, and it gets you out of your seat, and you lose 5 years out of your life even if they win or lose. And they just lost. Even the goaltender literally had to take a shot, and she hit hers. And it's sad that you lose a World Cup game by a millimeter. And Rapinoe misses her kick, and she smiles and just walks it off. Because why? No one likes her, but why is she smiling? Because she's a professional. You don't have to like her. You don't have to like what she stands for. There's millions of people that like her for what she stands for and what she fights for. Everybody has their opinion on her. I think she's still one of the greatest female players in the game. Always has been. A true professional. You don't have to like her demeanor. You don't have to like what she stands for. But there's many people that I've read comments saying they got the biggest load of karma that you could ever possibly fathom. It is, by all means, what it is. If she says it's a sick joke, it very well might have. They got beat fair and square by a team that was outplayed 75, about 3/4 that entire game. Sweden had a couple chances here and there, and they're one of the top 5 teams in the world. And now this whole thing, now that the coach steps down, which is the right move, and there's going to be a lot of filtering in with the new stars like Alyssa Thompson, the Sydney. I know the one she's talking about, the Sydney Smith. She missed a penalty kick. She was balling her. She's near bawling her eyes out. That's what this is. That's what the type of game this is. And everybody literally to this day still think U.S. should have just steamrolled everybody. After all the controversy that went on through the women's pay and everything like that, people first forgot the Women's World Cup was this year. It was 4 years already, but not a lot of people got to it just because it was in Australia and New Zealand. That's a 14-hour difference, by the way. So, at the end of the day, the U.S. is going to eat the biggest piece of humble pie they've ever gotten, and who knows where it's going to be in the next 4 years, but they still got the Olympics next year in Paris. They got to still deal with that stuff yet. So, head coach steps down. I think that's the right move. These other players are going to play some of the last of their contracts in the women's league, and it's probably going to be done for them. Alex Morgan, the Morgans, the Rapinos, the Ertz. It's time to start letting the new blood come in, because it doesn't matter how well you played against Sweden. They're going to get on you for the 3 games that you played in the first round. And I know a lot of people want to get on, well, they only played Vietnam. If the U.S. was supposed to be that mega power that they are, they would have won that game 10-0. They won 3-0. They won 3-0 in that game, and 1 goal was decided by VR, and Alex Morgan had a penalty blocked. They outshot Vietnam like around 26-0, and Vietnam gave them a fit. They could not put any more than 3 goals. 3. What did the Netherlands do? They won like 8-0, 9-0 or something. It goes back to those 3 games. They tied the Netherlands, which is one thing. That might have been maybe the second best game. And then they played that scoreless draw with Portugal where they should have won that game, but they absolutely looked like, and I hate saying this about the U.S. teams, and I know somebody down in Carolina who I used to work with hates and loves dissing them with a passion. I have to say, they look like trash, unfortunately. Then you get 4 days to recover, and you play your game against Sweden, and it was the best game they played. And you couldn't. And yes, the Swedish goaltender had a stellar game. She played out of her mind. And you lose in penalty kicks. This is what it is. Is that what everyone likes to say? You couldn't do nothing. So this needs to be a piece of humbleism, or whatever you want to call it. But the news head coach, he steps down, and there's so much there's so much hype into this U.S. women's team that really just comes apart. They have so much young talent on this team, like a Sydney Smith or Aurora Tiffany Rodman. They have the pieces, but now is the time that you may have to sincerely take a step back. You might have to. The Olympics are next year, and nobody knows if Morgan and Rapinoe are going to play in the Olympics. I don't think Rapinoe is playing. I don't know if Julie Ertz is playing. I don't know. But a lot of these people, Sauerbaum, the other one, I don't know. Morgan wants to play. She had an awful World Cup. So next year is the next time you think about these girls playing again, and they got to do it in the Olympics in Paris, and they're not going to be favored. I don't think they're going to be favored. This Women's World Cup has actually been fairly astounding. I was able to stay up for half the game with Spain and Sweden, and I just went to bed because I know I had to go. There's something we have to do that's called go to work, and And I missed it. They were scoreless in the first half, and Spain wins in the second half 2-1. And England beats Australia, and I would have liked to see Australia, who are not superpowers in soccer. They're not even close. They get to the Final Four. They get beat by a powerhouse in England, and now it's going to be Spain and England in the final. I believe, if I do my math correctly, it's 6 a.m. 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be watching. I'm going to do my best to try to watch it. If it's a World Cup game, men's or women's, I'll try my damnedest to watch it. I've seen Spain play. I like Spain. I think England will win. It'd be nice because one of those two is going to win their first ever. I'd like to see Australia win the third place game. Why not? You were the host squad. They already are getting praised in their home country. Soccer is not their number one sport. It's either going to be, it's not their number one sport. It's either rugby, Australian rules football, or cricket. And trust me, they find the right people to play one sport that they're not huge on, and they get to the Final Four. So kudos to the Aussies. God love you people. But I'll pick England to beat Spain, but I really don't even care who wins that game because you're going to get a new power. So the U.S. have a lot of growing up to do, a lot of retooling, reestablishing themselves, because now this is August, you've probably got about a good 9 months before you start packing your bags and going to Paris for the Olympics. So I love this time of the year when it is a World Cup. We don't have to deal with this again until 2026 when the U.S., Canada, and Mexico joint host the biggest World Cup in history, when there's going to be 48 teams. I'll be old and gray. It's already starting to get to it, by the way.